guys, I'm Victoria. Welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be reacting and reviewing Olivia Rodrigo's new album, Sour. I listened to 3 previous songs by her, and I have talked about those 3 songs in other videos that I will link down in the description below. Keep listening and reacting to the unreleased song. I'm curious about this album only because I've heard mixed things. I've heard majority all good things. I get my own opinion on this album. So far, enjoyed the past 3 songs that she's released, especially Good For You. That's by far my favorite one. She actually did say have an intersection between mainstream pop, folk music, alternative rock music, so let's see if she does that, and let's get into listening to this album. Okay, so there are 11 tracks on this album, and the first song is Brutal. I'm really shocked right now. It's actually really good. Oh my god, I love the way it started. That's a great way to start an album. It's brutal out here. He says it's brutal out here? Oh my god, that sounds so good. I don't know what I was expecting, but this was not what I thought I was gonna hear at all. I like that main bridge. It's brutal out here. Well, the rock vibes in it just gives me like 90s rock, like L7. Okay, so as a rock fan, Brutal, the song that I approve of, is Traitor. Is obviously going back to that theme of her boyfriend treating her like shit basically and moving on super fast, and that's kind of like Driver's License and Deja Vu, and her comparing herself to somebody else in the previous songs. The song's very slow, very different from the previous song we just heard, but it's good. Moving 1 step forward, 3 steps back. I do know that Jack Antonoff collabed on this song. I give you power. It's always 1 step forward and 3 steps back. I think that line's actually really important, and it goes back to like all the other songs I've already heard, and I think it's actually an important lyric because she's saying I give you so much power over that kind of stuff. That type of stuff is actually really important, especially to like a woman's self-esteem, you know. People tell you just to get over, and sometimes you just can't, and that's something that a lot of people can relate to. I am moving on to the next song, Enough For You. This is definitely like a folky song. They'll think that I am so exciting, and you'll be the one who's crying. She has such a soft whispering voice, something that kind of reminds me of like Girl in Red sometimes when she's singing. It's very sad, but also like a reflection of the person she is now, and she knows that's going to change in the future because it's kind of like what she's going through at the moment. This album's more sad than I anticipated it to be, and I don't know why would it, because it's obviously a breakup album. So finishing this song up, I do see what she talks about when she's saying I want a folk aspect into the album, and I think this is definitely a folk type of song. And then I think the other previous songs are basically pop, besides Brutal and Good For You, which Good For You is more like a pop punk, and then Brutal I think definitely heads more into like the rock direction. This album's definitely versatile so far that I'm hearing. On to Happier. Do you tell her she's little guitar. Beautiful girl? I'm picking her apart, like cutting her down, like you miss my wretched heart. I think that's an important lyric as well. Now I'm picking her apart, like cutting her down will make you miss my wretched heart. but she's beautiful, she looks kind, she probably gives you butterflies. Like deep inside, if you were hurt this bad, I think anybody could be questioning themselves, comparing themselves. There's this sense of jealousy and vengeance and anger you feel towards this person that hurts you, you know? The song is Jealousy, Jealousy. Wow, I think that song's really interesting. This is probably the first time I've ever heard somebody actually talk about the jealousy and the comparison and what social media can do to you. I'm assuming this is about social media, but this is the first time I'm ever personally hearing somebody talk about it in the way she's talking about it, especially in her generation. Her generation is the age that really grew up with social media. Like, I graduated high school in like 2013, and I feel like when I was in high school, social media just started coming up, like Facebook at the time, and Instagram kind of just started when I was about to leave high school. Like, her generation specifically definitely had to deal with not just being in normal high school, but also dealing with the pressures of social media on top of you. I don't know if it's social media for her also being famous and all the things that come with that as well. So I'm not sure, but this is a pretty interesting song. I like the way it goes. I actually kind of feel that way sometimes. Like, I kind of like happy for people, but I feel like I have to remember on social media that it's just an image people show, and they don't really have these lives sometimes. Yeah, obviously it's just an image. I relate. And I feel like you're saying this too, like I personally can relate to that as well, because I feel like I always am following and unfollowing people on social media that makes me feel like bad about myself or hurts my mental health, because you can start comparing yourself no matter if you're young or older. Hear that piano? Repeat 6. Like that song, Jealousy, Jealousy. Again, I think it's a super relatable song. Hear somebody talking about such an important topic, and I do think Jealousy, Jealousy relates to mental health. Favorite crime. Like a Taylor Swift type of song, I'm not gonna lie. And it's very, again, folk. I think a lyric that I was listening to, and now I'm looking at the lyrics on Genius, said, "You use me as an alibi, I crossed my heart as you crossed the line. As I defended you to all my friends, now every time my siren sounds, I wonder if you're around. Because you know that I'll do it again." That's such an interesting lyric. Wow. All the things I did just so I could call you mine, the things you did, well, I hope I was your favorite crime. She does really great choruses. Like, wow, she really impresses me, actually. About the damage that we do, 'cause I was going down, but I was doing it with you. Yeah, everything we broke and all the trouble that we made, but I say that I hate you with a smile on my face. I love the fast pace and then her slowly singing out the song. Bravo to the end of that song. Wow, I really like that. A song, Hope You're Okay. Interesting. So majority of all the songs is about a breakup, and it sounds like this song is about somebody else, like a story of somebody else, if I'm getting this right. So I'm assuming this is about somebody that she grew up with or knew in the past and that she lost touch with. Okay, that makes sense. And she's hoping that person's okay, depending on the life situation that they were going through. That beat is so familiar, that guitar riff. It sounds like it's sampled from something else and I can't recognize it. Oh my, that was really sad too. It sounds like every single person was going through something rough and going through trauma, and she knew all these people and she thinks about them sometimes and hopes they're okay. That's very beautiful. I don't feel like matches the theme of the album, but it's really sad to think about. Why makes me tear up? Oh my god, the last song made me tear up. I feel like that was like a really hard-hitting song for the end of the album, but I will be back with my review. I know she works with Daniel Nigro, I believe is how you say his name, and he was like an emo rock band, so he has a lot of experience doing rock music and also lyrically writing, and I feel like the combination of them together is what made this album so amazing. I think there's this undeniable talent in Olivia Rodrigo where she can songwrite and be a pop star and act, but I think she obviously chooses being a songwriter over a pop star, and you hear that in her music, and her music is very raw with emotion. I believe she succeeded in bringing this mainstream aspect of rock, folk, and pop because the album was so versatile. She's going to be an A-list star, especially after this album, especially after all the records it's broke and how popular it is. And I went into this album thinking it'd be the most overrated, over-talked about album, and she could not really do all three of those type of genres in an album. Succeeded at doing all of those things, and this album isn't overrated, it is perfectly rated. It's definitely a recollection of her memories, you into what she was going through and feeling. It's almost like you're observing her from a distance going through all these things. Anxiety, the anxiousness, the depression, angst, vengefulness she feels. You feel that emotions because she's really going into detail explaining it so well. It's all relatable emotions, all relatable things she's going through, and I think she's an important part of her generation. I think anyone who's old or young could relate to the feelings she was feeling in that point in time, especially being like 18 years old, you know. I think an older person can look back at being like, oh my god, I was 18 and I felt those emotions and I went through that and I feel that. And her bridges are like the key to the success of this album personally. Using instruments, very happy to hear somebody in mainstream media actually using instruments. That makes me so happy. You don't understand, because I'm a really skeptic rock listener and I don't really listen to pop music that much, but there are certain people I do like Lana Del Rey, Taylor Swift, I think what I'm realizing is I like people who do write their own lyrics, or people who work with Jack Antonoff probably. I can see why people think it trends a lot on Paramore or Taylor Swift, but if you do look at her influences when she's talking about it in interviews, she does talk a lot about Alanis Morissette, Taylor Swift, like her icons, not to eventually trend on those topics because they were people ahead of her in her time. But I feel like Olivia Rodrigo will be the Alanis Morissette, Taylor Swift, Paramore artist of her time. I rate this album a 5 out of 5. I highly suggest anybody to listen to it. I think even if you're a rock listener like me, you will probably like this album. So would like to mention my favorite songs. I think so far like Good For You, Brutal, Favorite Crime, Jealousy Jealousy, and I Hope You're Okay are probably my top favorite songs. Video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more reaction videos from me and music content, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.